the Zoom. So I've got the recording going. All right, so week number 3, Wednesday, July 24th, and we're going to kick off with a brief review on functions. In fact, this will be like a little exercise activity here. So you'll notice the name of the directory I have here is called broken, right? And so I'm going to leave these in their broken state, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to display the function, and it'll say at the top how many things are wrong, and I'm going to leave it up for about this one anyway. There's only one thing wrong. Excuse me. So I'll leave it up for 10 to 15 seconds, and I just want you to either on Notepad or piece of paper, whatever the case may be, or type it out real quick, but type down what you think the error is. What is wrong with this function? Are you ready?
Yes.
So there's the first function. This function has one error. What is the error? And so I'll leave it up for about 30, we'll do 30 seconds. Leave it up for about 30 seconds here, and you can take a look over it. And again, don't shout it out. Just kind of jot down what you think the error is in that file.
I see it. Oh.
All right, take about 5 more seconds. I'm going to move on to the next one. So this is number 1. All right, so now we'll take a look at number 2. So there's 2 errors in this function. And I did my best to make sure that the errors are not the same. So the last file, whatever was wrong in that file, should not be wrong in this file. It'll be different. And so jot down what you think the 2 errors are here. All right, about 5 more seconds. I'm going to move on to number 3. All right, so number 3 is this one here, and this has 3 errors. You'll notice a pattern. Function 1, 1 error. Function 2, 2 errors. Function 3, 3 errors. So there's 3 errors in this file. All right, take about 5 more seconds, and then we'll go to number 4. All right, so let's move on to number 4. All right, so there are 4 errors in this file. All right, we'll give you about 5 more seconds here, and then we'll go to number 5, our final one. All right.
Hang on 1 second.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll clear. And then our final one is this guy here. And on this one, there's at least 5 errors. There may be 6, but there should be at least 5. Yeah, there's 5 errors in this one. And just kind of give me a verbal if you think you've got all 5. I see Iris still looking intently at the screen, so I'll continue. That's kind of what I'm using as my guide as Iris leans in and I see her.
And I don't have to lean because I can see it very well. I'm just hoping something will scream out at me.
All right, you guys think you're good on this one? Or as good as you're going to get?
Yeah, as good as I'm going to get.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to do something a little different, right? And this is what I kind of like to do with my learners. Instead of me pulling the code up and explaining to you, hey, this is what's wrong, and me making the changes, I'm going to display the file, and you are going to create that file. And you can call, I just called mine bfunc001 for broken function 001. You can call it anything you want. And so in idle, go ahead and create a file, and you are going to type in the code that would be the correct code with the fix that you had annotated when I showed it to you initially. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. And remind me to keep checking on my screen here, this little green or black circle with the red dot, that shows I'm recording. Do not let me forget to record. If I pause, like when we break, if I pause,
Right.
because I want to make sure I capture everything. All right, so let me know when you have bfunc001.py, when you have it working. And if it's working right, it should print out the value of X is 99.
I have it running.
You got it running?
Yes.
All right. And everyone else, how are we coming along?
Okay.
Yeah, just give me a verbal when you have it running.
Oh. Okay.
And while they're working on that, so Iris, since you finished so early, you get the bonus question. So what's the difference between a parameter and an argument?
An argument is in the main program,
Yes,
and a parameter is in the function.
you got it. It's where they live. You got it. Perfect.
Remember?
Say that again.
Impressing myself.
Yeah.
That's what I remembered.
All right. So take about 30 more seconds. And then we're going to go into the file and make the change.
Oh, okay. I got it then.
You
All
got
right.
it running?
Yeah.
Okay. Marilyn, you coming along okay?
Yeah, I'm coming. I think I got it. Let me just run.
Okay.
No, we still got an error. Yeah.
Darielle, how's it coming along for you?
I had it running, but I come up with nothing. So something must be. It says.
All right. Well, we're going to go over the answer here. So let me pull up.
I got it.
You got it? All right, good.
Yeah.
All right. So let's
I'll go, yeah.
pull it up. So let me go ahead and ask Marilyn, what do you think I should change here?
The function where you got function 001, shouldn't that be open parentheses?
Like that?
Yeah.
All right. That's all I need?
I'm sure that's not it because I had something. Maybe you have to put an X in there in the value in the parentheses.
So let me ask you guys, because you guys, I see Iris has got a little wry smile on her face there. I think she knows where this is headed. So Do I need an X inside those parentheses there?
I think so. Yeah. Yes, you do because I just got it. Yes.
I do?
Yes, because otherwise mine didn't get the value. If you didn't put an X inside the parentheses, I got an error.
Okay. So then let me ask you this. So then the scope of X, since I'm passing something in, I have to account for it, right? So the argument is there, but I need the parameter, right?
Yes.
All right, let's see. So I'll say Python 3 bfunc001.py, and the value of X is 93. So let's pull that back up. And what if I don't have
You get it.
value?
You get an
It'll
error,
say
yeah.
it's
An
an
error.
error and it
That
says
was the
it's
one I
asking
couldn't,
for something.
yeah.
Well, it doesn't match the function call. The function call has an argument and the map and the
Exactly.
it
So
doesn't.
the type error, func001, takes zero positional parameters, but one was given. So in other
Yes.
words, at the bottom of the program there where I have the function call, I'm saying, hey, I'm passing in this value, but when func001 is not set up with the open parent close or the open parent X close parent, I'm giving it something that's not prepared to take. So good, good, good. All right, so let's pull this back up. Let me ask you this. What if I did this?
Then it should run because it's not asking for it. Well,
I got nothing. I
What do
did
you
that.
mean? If you,
I had nothing
Yeah, you can't associate X like that.
with anything here.
So this isn't going to work?
No.
no.
Are you
What?
sure?
Oh.
What?
Oh,
It
let me
wouldn't.
say that again.
You didn't have to, it didn't do that.
Oh,
to me.
because
I think because you didn't have any, you
because it's
didn't
a
ask
string.
for anything, you didn't
And-
associate it. So I thought it would work.
String is
Yeah.
treated as a
The X
global
is 99
because
is,
it's
the
it's a
X99 is
string.
global, right?
Yeah, there you go. Both Darielle and Iris are using the right language there. Yeah. So
Right.
when I declared X equal 99 and, you know, the string 99, I did it in the main part of the program. So X is global,
Mhm.
right? So
Yep.
I don't actually have to pass it in because I've defined it globally. That way the function actually, excuse me, will actually see X because it's declared globally. And so that's like a little scope type twist to the problem here, right? Is when I remove the X from inside the parentheses completely from both the function call as well as the function definition, when the argument is removed and the parameter is removed, it's okay because X has been globally defined. All right. So we had what is this here? Whoops, no, I don't want that. All right, so I'll put it back to the way it was. There we go. All right, so now let's take a look at bfunc.
Oh, sorry.
Hello? Hello?
Hello. Jeez.
Darielle, we've traced the call.
Someone's
It's coming
something.
from your basement.
Ooh. You're doing the second one? Okay.
That's an old reference.
Yeah, we've been able to trace the call. It's coming from your basement. What? All right, so there's bfunc002. So go ahead and type this one out, new file, and type this one out and go ahead and create it and put in the two fixes that you think will get this up and running.
So the volume went down. Was that me or was that
No, I did the same for me.
Can you guys hear me?
your volume went down, Travis?
Mine did? How about now?
Is he there?
Is it
We
better?
lost him.
No, he's there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
No,
you're
went
low.
down very low.
How about now? Better?
No,
No.
No?
not like it was.
That's funny because I grabbed the microphone, but I didn't. Oh, wait, here, hold on. Maybe I Tweak that. Is that better there?
No.
That's still not better? I twist the volume here. Here, let me mute it. Is that better there?
Not really.
Not yet. Seems like it's getting lower.
Okay, how about now? Because I just changed. Yeah, I changed it to a different one, but now I'm going to change it back to the microphone that's in front of me here.
Oh,
Okay, how about now?
no.
No? Huh.
When you said I'm gonna change it back to the
We're
microphone.
low again.
Okay, how about now?
Now. Yeah.
Better?
Yeah, it's better.
There you
All
go.
right, I'll leave it on the. I'll move. I can slide this out of the way here, and I'll leave it on the little Logitech camera thing that I use to show me. Has a microphone built in, so we'll use that. Yeah, I guess I grabbed it when I got really close to it, and then broke it.
Wow.
Oh, that looks like a nice microphone. I hope you didn't break it.
No.
No, I don't think I broke it, but it's always. I've had issues with it in the past. Where? Let me fix this here. All right, let's see what happens there.
So this is the second one you have displayed?
This is the second one, correct?
Oh, okay.
How about my audio now? Better?
No.
No? Man.
Nope.
All right, we'll just leave it with the Logitech Brio. I'll deal with that when I get back from vacation.
Now we hear you.
Yeah, I'm using the microphone on the little camera thing here. It's like built in. And then just give me a verbal when you think you've got this, when it's running for you without any issues.
Got it.
I have it.
We got it.
All right, Ozzy, what do you think?
I mean, sorry, it's like identical to the last one. Hold on, I'm running it.
But it's not. It's I mean, same code and stuff, but different errors.
Oh, well, yeah, never mind. All right, I'm sorry. I'm running it. Oh, well, yeah, I know what the problem is, I think.
All right. So
Yeah.
let me pull it up. And then Ozzy, since you know what the problem is, we are going to let you tell us what we need to change.
Well, I mean, it's missing a colon at the end of the definition.
Okay. So
The
we're
first
missing a
line.
colon, and then what else?
Colon. All right.
Good. That's correct. Yep.
Okay, sorry. I had my notes typed up while you showed them the first time. And then I said I don't know what I meant by this. The input wasn't defined, but I don't know what I meant by that.
Input wasn't defined.
No, it was defined. Maybe I meant it wasn't called, but it was called.
It is. It is. Yeah, we have a function call at the very, very end.
Right.
So there's one more error.
Give me 1 second. All right. Let me run this. I don't know. I don't get an error on that one. Am I crazy? I put the colon in, and
All right. Well, let me run it, and let's see what we see here. So we'll say Python 3 and bfunc 002, and that's what we get.
error while scanning string literal. Okay.
And so while looking at that print line there, do you see anything wrong?
Oh, it's God. Yes, it's missing. Jeez, it's missing like what it's missing the value of x is, and it should say 99, right? No.
No. There's definitely something wrong with that line.
So if okay, so it's a string, so it's missing some kind of text. It's saying string literal. Oh, it's missing an end quote. Jeez.
There you have it.
Because I corrected that in mine without even thinking about it. It's missing an end quote.
There you go. All right, so now let's run it. See what happens.
That's just cruel.
Oh, whoops. My bad. I put it on the inside of the.
Oh, inside the comma.
Yeah, I put
started
it on
to
the
do that
inside.
too.
By
And
mistake.
I looked right at that.
Flip it here. There we go. All right. There we go. Right. So what the program, excuse me, what the program should look like is this, and we were missing the colon here for the function definition, and then the single quote to close the string value out. All right. Now let's take a look at number 3.
But this was easy because,
Number 3?
yeah, because I felt like this was like glaring at me with all its errors.
Yeah, 3 was probably easier.
I thought.
Different set of errors.
Yeah.
So go ahead and type up number 3 if you haven't done so already, and then let me know when you've got 3 working. Marilyn, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, cool. Excuse me. Yeah, Echo contacted me today. It was kind of ironic. She contacted me about teaching a Python course.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I told her, I'm like, yeah, I said, it's so funny you're contacting me right now. I said, because I'm actually teaching one right now, because they're going to do the Emerging Technologies Workshop again. But she said that she wants them to have some Python before, and they'll definitely need it before they go into that Emerging Technologies thing. Because the Emerging Technologies Workshop, man, they've got some pretty hardcore code in there that's doing like HTTP calls, API calls to Google Maps or to MapQuest, and
Right.
so yeah, they've got some complicated stuff in there.
Okay.
All right, so just give me a verbal when you feel good here that you've got this one running.
Yep.
Got it.
I
Yeah.
did. Yes.
All right, so we'll go to Iris on this one, or actually we'll go to Darielle on this one. Darielle, what do you think? What do I need to fix here?
So on this one, variable X in the print line should be lowercase.
All right. Like that?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you go to the assignment statement, should be a left single quote in front of 99.
You got it.
And we're not creating a function, so we take the quote, colon, off the left side of the call.
Yeah, because there's no definition, right? And we would have to have something past the definition as well. So that. All right, let's give it a run here.
Good work.
And Python 3 bfunc003.py. And there we go. All right. So now let's go ahead and take a look. And actually, before we do that, here, hold on one second. I'm going to share. What am I going to share? I'm going to share brackets with you. So I'm going to let you look at that because I'm going to make one minor change here. BI, bfunc. Or no, here, let me do copy. Actually, I don't want to change it because you guys have already looked at it. So that wouldn't be fair. I was going to, because I just had an idea for a great mistake there. You can see the screen again, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's go to number 4. All right, so there's 4 errors in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just had a great idea for an error. A very subtle error.
I love doing this because the kids can never figure it out. It's great. I mean, maybe not for them, it's not great, but
It's good practice though.
yeah.
And again, I'll give you the fixed files if you wanted them, and if you wanted to use them, you could, or you could create your own. Either way, but I'll send these out tomorrow with everything else. And then just give me a verbal when you're feeling good about your program working and everything.
Oh.
And just give me a verbal when you think you've got this one hammered out.
Well, I think I got it.
Is it working?
Yes, but I don't know what it's supposed to be, but it's working, no error.
All right. So does it print anything out?
It prints the value of X is 99, and then enter the first octet of an IP address.
All right, good, good. Now what happens when you enter that?
I just hit enter, it goes to the flashing screen. Like,
You got it.
Yeah, I got it too.
Okay.
I didn't get it, so I don't know what I didn't do.
Lots of issues with this one.
Yeah, this one's a hot mess.
Yeah.
This one's a hot mess. All right, so let me know. Iris, are you good on this one?
She's muted.
She's muted.
Mhm.
She's in the zone. She's in the Python zone.
Sorry, I didn't type it in right.
Oh, it's okay.
All right, let me turn it. Is everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right, so who have I not picked on yet?
Oh, okay.
Marilyn. And Marilyn, wait, I've already picked on Marilyn. Iris, I haven't picked on Iris yet. So since you haven't typed it in, you can see on the screen here. So where's the first mistake at?
Okay, so the first mistake, the first thing I noticed was the function call func001 has a colon, but it's not being defined. That's in the main program. Not there, all the way down.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah,
Right there.
I was working top to bottom, and I was looking. I'm like, yeah, no, we need that. Okay, no, there we don't need it. Correct. Okay, so there's
Right. What else did I change? And then there's an extra close paren on the input.
Yep, that's 2.
So then the names got real screwy looking.
Say again.
Okay, so the list octet is never called.
Right, so that's a 1.
Oh, okay. And you know what? I had one, when I defined it, I had first octet, and then when I added it, I had list octet. So first octet should be called under IP addresses equal to inputs.
But let me ask you this: is that an error?
yes.
Yeah. Well, that.
Well, if you
Yes.
have a certain specification to print first octet,
But do I have to call it?
No.
do you have to call the routine?
Yeah, no. So just because it's defined doesn't mean I have to
Oh.
call it. But I'll add it in. So
Oh, okay. That's not the error.
yeah, no. So that wasn't one of the errors.
Oh, I put that as an error too.
No,
Okay.
it's something very obvious.
What else is?
It's something very obvious that's the error.
I'm missing it. Help me.
So
Okay,
we
wait a
have. So
minute.
you've got 2 of the 4.
I'm not finished.
I put the first octet.
She's not finished.
Iris,
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
She's not finished.
She's not finished.
The wrong parameter name. Let me figure out where I said
you
that.
got it.
In the first octet,
Right.
define IP address and then
Correct.
octet.
So octet should be what?
But I feel like the parameter should be octet
Okay, we can do that. We can do that.
since this is first octet.
You got it.
Oh,
All right.
okay. All right.
And then, yeah, that should be changed back to octet.
Okay, so there we go.
So there's
That's
something
it?
else. then? Because you said that there were.
There should be one more. Let's run this and see what happens. So there should be one more. So we'll say
Yeah.
Python 3, bfunc004.py.
I got that too.
You should have.
Oh, so that's why I changed it to list. Because you can't start a function with nothing can start with a number.
You got it. So
Okay.
I'll just call this, how about this?
Okay,
Just first octet. Anything, something that doesn't start with
a number.
I'll put the call in down here. Yeah, not having the call was to throw you off because, again, we don't have to have, I don't have to call it. Of course, to make the program look good, you would want it. But let's rerun it now and let's see what we get. So the first octet, I'll say 10. There we go.
Right.
All right, we are fixed. We're down to one more to go.
Wait a minute.
I have a question.
Whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
me
okay.
too.
Why is it that I could not have used in the first octet's function IP address underscore in the argument?
You're talking about right here.
When you have octet, yeah.
Right there? Yeah, so you could have used IP underscore address, but Iris kind of hit the nail on the head. So the name of there's nothing wrong. So let me take a step back. So could you have left this as IP underscore address? And the answer is yes, if and only if that would have been IP underscore address. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So those two need to match.
Okay.
Here and here. So because that's the parameter, and then I'm referencing the parameter here. So it could have been X and X. It could have been ABC, ABC. It could be octet and octet. The key takeaway is they have to match. So when I had IP underscore ADDR here and then octet here,
Didn't match.
they didn't match. And so that's not going to work. In fact, it would come back and say that, and here, let me do it. It would come back if this down here, well, change, what am I calling? IP ADDR. So yeah, here we'll change it. So if I had IP underscore ADDR here, we should get an error when it goes to run that function that says octet not defined, right? Or name not defined. I think it's going to be a name error. So let's see here. And this would be the one here for the first octet. I'll put 192. Yeah, there we go. Name error, octet is not defined. And that's because the parameter name we used to, remember to catch that argument being passed in was, well, actually, I thought I put IP underscore, oh, this is what it passed in, but it's IP underscore ADDR is what we used as the parameter. And so when we pass it in, it sees this, and it's like, I have no idea where that's coming from.
Okay.
Right.
So yeah, good question. Good question.
Can we see your corrected code again?
Yep. And I'm going to change word. So there we go. So we're good there. And then there was another question, Marilyn. I think I heard you say you had a question.
Oh, no, I'm good.
I got it to work now. Good. Thanks.
Okay, cool. All right. And then the final one before break is that one right there. So go ahead. If you haven't typed it in already, type away. And there are 5 errors in this one. Oh, man, the sun's coming back out over here. I don't know what's going on?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And just give me a verbal when you feel like you've got it. Excuse me. Got it working away.
I got it working. These are good exercises.
Yeah, no, they're really good. And it's funny. Like I said, we kind of talked about it last night. It's like the best, and it's true across a lot of disciplines, right? You know, they say that, you know, you learn more in losing than you do in winning, right? Or you learn more from your failures than you do your successes.
Right.
And it's the same thing with code in a lot of ways, is you learn more from mistakes and having to, like, I was talking to Ozzy about this at the end, and struggling to try to figure out what is wrong with what is the program, what's wrong, you know, what am I missing, why are the errors saying what they do.
Right.
And it's interesting, I always tell my students that and it's very true on the Cisco side of the house as well. I tell them that it's great if they get something set up on the first try and that they get it to work. But the problem with that is they don't know what to do if something's wrong. So
Right.
I tell them, you know, once they get it working, okay, you break it, right? You change something in the config, break it, and then fix it.
Right.
You know, because then they become familiar and more comfortable with, oh, okay, if this is broke, then this will get fixed. And so, yeah, troubleshooting, I think, is one of the best activities in terms of learning, because it's such an active activity as well, right?
Yeah.
Because it's way better than me sitting here saying, okay, this is wrong, this is, and you guys just watching. That's not going to do, it's not going to do much. So definitely more interactive. So yeah, just give me a verbal when everybody's got it. Iris, you're good, you said?
Yes.
I have it. I have it.
All right, Darielle's got it. I have to have a chat with my sister when I get out to California. She basically sabotaged my Facebook timeline by putting some photo up of me the day before I went into the Army.
Oh, I need to go check that out.
No, I blocked you already. You've already been blocked. I blocked everybody.
Oh, God.
I crawled into a hole. It's over. So yeah, she posted this picture up. Literally, I was with her, and I don't know where we were at. That's the one thing is I can't. It's not our house. I know that, but yeah, it's the day before I went into the Army, so it'd have been like May 15th, 1989.
Wow.
Yes, yes, the Wayback Machine. Are you looking at the picture right now? Is that what that laugh was?
No. She was supposed to do that on Throwback Thursday.
Exactly. And I do a little thing. Sometimes I'll do like Flashback Friday.
Oh, okay, I got it.
You got it. All right. So
Yeah.
who's got it so far? Everybody. Marilyn, you have it?
I think so.
All right. So let's go ahead and I think everybody's done. Has everybody done one so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll open it up to the group. So we'll go, everybody give me one error. So we'll start with Iris since you're in the top on the images there. So what's the first error that I should correct?
Let's see, the first one you should correct. There's 2 parentheses on the IP address.
Yes.
Equal input.
Right here.
Yeah.
All right. So that's one. All right. So Darielle, you're next.
All right. If you look into this list, we failed to put single quotes around the B.
Yes. Okay. And Ozzy, you're next.
Okay, so sorry, I'm having trouble bringing your program up and like my program side by side.
No
So,
worries.
okay, so, okay, Darielle also already said there wasn't a quote around the B.
Yeah, the first B here.
Okay, so I said that like the A and the B were not defined.
Here in the list
Yeah.
here. There you go with the quotes. Whoops, whoa.
Right, but I mean, I guess in addition to that, like there's nothing that says A equals input whatever or B equals input whatever.
So good question. And let me ask you this. Does something have to say A equals something or B equals something? Or can A and B just be elements in the list?
Is that for anybody?
Well, that's where your program has to
Elements in a list.
define that. Is it a variable or is it a string?
Oh, right. So if it's not assigned to something, right, if there is no assignment operator, then what
It's
would
just
it have
elements.
to be?
Just elements in the list.
Yeah, have to be a string. Yeah. So do you see that, Ozzy? So since I don't have A equals something or B equals something, it means that A and B right here, it means that those have to be strings because there are no variables A and B.
Okay, so they have to be strings. So I don't need to put A equals whatever. A
No,
equals-
so that, I mean, that would have been a way to fix it, but since it's not here, right, it would have been, I guess my thinking when I put it together was to make them strings, because there is no A and B defined in the
Okay.
program.
All
All
right.
right,
So then, do you want me to?
Marilyn, you're up.
Oh, never mind.
Okay, so while true, the T is
Capture.
uppercase T for true.
Yes, outstanding. Whoa, there we go. Okay. And then back up to Iris for the win.
The stuff that goes in the loop should be indented after while true.
Say again.
The 2 lines of code after the while true should be indented.
All right, is that everything?
Yes.
All right, let's run it.
No, there's other things.
Something else?
Let's see what we get.
No, I think there's other things.
You're not very trusting anymore, Ozzy.
Oh, okay.
Am I outside the circle of trust now, or
Maybe.
What you did to her, Travis?
it looks good? It looks like it's running.
Yeah. You just have nothing to make it stop, but it's still running.
Yeah, it's infinite.
Yeah.
It's an infinite loop, right?
Right.
Well, yeah, but that, I mean, that's not a problem. Because we
Okay.
can have it run and do whatever. All right, and then I did Control C, keyboard interrupt is what you're seeing
So
there.
can I see your code again?
Absolutely. Yep. There we go.
Okay. No, that's all right. Okay, it's okay.
Yeah, so
I
everything
thought
else
there was
is
something
everything
else.
else is good to go. All right. So the plan was that we're going to take a break, and let me ask you guys, because I don't want you guys to feel like we're rushed or anything like that. How long of a break do you guys want to take? Like, is 15 minutes good or no?
Yeah, 15 is good. Well, for me, it's good. 15 is good.
All right, so we'll do 15, and we'll come back at, it's 9:06. So 7:15. We'll do to 25. So we'll go to 7:25. And so let me go ahead and pause the recording. And please, somebody remind me to start the recording. Recording, and let me confirm. Yep, it's blinking. All right. So we are back. So we're going to talk about tuples. And the good news is that tuples are going to be super, super easy to work with because of the knowledge that we already have of lists, right? And so the tuple is just like a list, except for one big glaring difference. Excuse me. And that is that the tuple is immutable. It's immutable. In other words, once you create a tuple, you can't change it. You could, override it and create a new one, but you can't change it. So it begs the question, well, why would I create a list of things that I can't change? Or what are some use cases of things that I could do with a tuple? And a great example, and you have to think of it like this: where would I want to have multiple values that would never change? A chessboard, right? So a chessboard is a great example of where you could use tuples, because you have these different squares on the board, and you know how they do, like, A7, B5, whatever the combos are. So that's a great example. Coordinates, right? So coordinates on a map, right? So locations just don't pick up and move. So coordinates is another example of where you would use a tuple. And you'll notice that the chapter 3.6 was very, very light on the tuple. It didn't go into a whole lot of detail. So we're going to look at some really good examples here. So a tuple is accessed by index. It's just like the list, except you can't change it. It is a sequence data type. And again, the reason we call it a sequence data type is because, you access it by sequence, like the first letter or the first element, the second element, the third element, and you can iterate over it with a for loop. So let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to create a tuple called my tuple. And in my tuple, I'm going to put some fruit. I'm going to have an apple, comma, orange, comma, pineapple. Whoops, pineapple. I'm going to put this in the pineapple. Pineapple and banana. B-A-N-A-N-A. I keep forgetting to do my quotes.
Yeah.
Banana. Banana. I'm thinking so hard about how to spell banana. I can't remember to put my single quotes in there. Now, how can you tell that that's not a list? What is the one characteristic here that's different, other than the name that says my tuple, right? What is different?
Brackets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no brackets, right? It's none of those characters there, right? The open bracket, close bracket. So that is a tuple. So if I wanted to print out, and again, I'm in the interactive interpreter, and you guys can type along if you'd like. All I have to do here is say my tuple. In a real program, I would say print my tuple, like that. And it's going to print the tuple out. So again, the only difference between that and this is the brackets. And I can actually just grab this and cut and paste. Boom. So my list looks like that. My tuple looks like that. And again, the major difference here is that with the tuple, I can't change anything. In fact, you'll be happy to know that the tuple, I'm almost 99.9% positive, has the fewest methods of any of the data types. And when I do this, sorry, my TUPLE, period, tab, there it is.
Index.
That is the all-inclusive list of methods for the tuple. So if I were to say my tuple count, whoops, excuse me, count, I'm having problems with my quotes tonight. So when you say my tuple count and you put in the value, right, apple, it's looking for how many occurrences of that are in the tuple. If I come back and say list, I'm sorry, not list, index, right? It gives you the index of where that's at. So if I wanted to go looking for something like apple, if I wanted to see, okay, where is apple in the tuple? I can count how many times apple appears, and I can have a method index to tell me at what location, the first location, do I find apple. And so again, you can't change. You'll notice there's no append, there's no insert, there's no pop, there's no, and so Marilyn, we'll talk about delete here in a second. So that's it. There are literally two methods that go with tuples: count and index. That's it, right? So now let's try this. Because Marilyn, I was thinking about that earlier today as I was getting ready for tonight. Your delete last night, the answer that Iris tried to steal from you. I don't know if you remember that. Did you remember that? I remember that.
Oh, I stole it.
Yeah. So what if I was to say something like this? What if I said, you know, delete, or actually before I do that, so how would I access single things? And again, it's so list-like in the way you work with the tuple that it's scary. So if I wanted to see the second element, you access it, right? You index into the tuple just like you go into a list. This exact same way, right? We do the open bracket, close bracket, and we put the value in there. So what if I said -1? Is this going to work, right? Because it worked great with lists. Yeah, still works, right? So all of those approaches, excuse me, in the different things we saw with lists in terms of indexing, excuse me. And let's check slicing here. So what if I was to say, give me the 0 to the second element? But it's not going to give us that second element. It's just going to give us apple and orange. So slicing, it works just the same. What if I was to say, my tuple colon. Yep, going to give me the whole thing. Because again, the tuple is a sequence data type. It's just a sequence of elements. And the list is the same way. It's simply a sequence of elements, right? And so we slice into it. We can do all these great things. So now, and the reason I wanted, you'll see why I wanted to talk about that piece right here with, you know, the indexing into it. So now we're going to see, okay, well, what about what Marilyn said last night? Because that looked pretty good. If I was to say, delete my tuple 0. Because what does this do if I'm doing this to a list?
It would take away the apple from the list, the first
Yeah,
one.
it would take the apple away, right? So let's hit enter and see what we get. So tuple object does not support item deletion because it's immutable, right?
Right.
We can't change it, cannot change it. So let's take a look and see where this thing resides. So my tuple, where is this in memory? So it's right there. And you'll notice that the number of digits that we get here, it seems to me that if I said A equals ABC, and then I say IDA, so we get the same length, right? But it's just a different location in memory. And for some reason, I thought we might see a shorter length here. But again, that's the location of our tuple right there. So what if I
list? Didn't you have a list also?
Oh, yep.
Where is that one?
ID my list, and that's where that resides. So they all reside in different locations, right? So the tuple resides at one place in memory, the string ABC another place in memory, and then the list resides in another place in memory. And so let's take a look at this. So I tried to delete and I can't delete, but what happens if I say my tuple gets open parentheses, close parentheses, and I hit enter? So what just happened to my tuple?
You cleared it.
Yeah, I cleared it, and not only did I clear it, right, but did I
created a new one?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't clear the existing one. So you could say, yeah, you cleared it, but really that technically is not correct. I created a brand new tuple. So you can see it was 1048, now it's 8680, right? So when you do this, that with the same name, it's basically going to recreate the tuple for you. Now, here's a great question, and this is one that learners typically scratch their head on. Let me clear the screen here. And you'll see this happen. Because remember, up to this point, I've always said, you know, hey, when you're using the list, it's a great idea in your program at the beginning to instantiate an empty list so that you can, what's up, Ozzy? What's going on?
For whatever, I'm sorry. I just got an email now from Cisco resetting my password, like out of, sorry. So I was just shocked.
I thought it was something I said about the list.
No, it's like, you know, whatever, how many days later I got the email. So sorry.
No worries. Okay.
I was just like shocked by that.
Well, that's good because there are probably so many people in the same situation you're in.
Yes.
They got back to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I apologize.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. Like I said, I thought it was something about the list or that something didn't make sense. Okay, so I always tell you to do this, right? To instantiate my list and instantiate, you know, to create an empty list. Because with the list, I can append to it, I can insert, I can do whatever, right? But at the beginning of the program, a program or a module or whatever, why would you ever do that? Because once I do that, can I insert something into that tuple?
I don't think so.
No. Can I change it? No, I can't. No.
Oh.
You can't assign anything?
No, it's immutable.
Index?
It's immutable.
So you can call it something else. make another tuple with another name, but you can't.
No, index, sorry, so Iris, index just simply tells you at what index position in the tuple does the value you're looking for reside.
But you can't do my tuple, open paren, 0, close paren, equal.
Let's give it a try.
And assign.
No. No, there's no way to do it. Because remember, the tuple cannot be changed in place. So something that learners will do is they'll do that thinking, oh, well, I'll just add stuff into it later. Because again, remember, they're still trying to comprehend mutable, immutable, I can change it, I can't change it. And sometimes when you talk about, oh, it's just like the list, it's very much like the list, and the way you access it is kind of like the list, and et cetera. So then they'll get that false sense of security that, oh, well, I'll just do this, I'll make sure I instantiate it empty, and then I can just add things to it later. Well, you can't add anything to it because I can't change it, right? So that is not something that you would do, right? Where this, with the list, is definitely something that you do in a program or a module, whatever the case may be. So remember that. That's like one of the significant differences is that with the tuples, you cannot change them. So typically, you are not creating empty tuples because that's about useless, right? You can't really do much with that. So we saw how I could say my tuple, and now we're going to take a look at another way to add values in. Now, I like when I create tuples, I always use the parentheses. But there's another way that you can add, you can create your tuple and have values placed in there, right? So I could say Bob, comma, and we'll put 1, 2, 3. So if I do this, right, without the parentheses, this is going to result in me having a tuple created, and I don't like this. Personally, I don't like it because to me, I like the fact that I put the open parents, closed parents, and it's clear as to what that is. Because what if the name is not my tuple? What if the name is Listo Stuff, right? And I put Bob, comma, 3.1415, comma, 333, comma, XYZ, right? When you look at that, I mean, that it's very misleading unless you know what you're looking for, right? Unless you know that it's going to end up as a tuple. And I'll type it out here, list of stuff. There we go. It's going to be a tuple. So do you have to have the parentheses? The answer is no. You don't have to have them. But I love the parentheses because to me it really calls out and highlights the fact that, hey, this is a tuple. Because unless you're giving it a name like something tuple, it might not be clear as to what's going on, right? So something to think about. Now, the other thing is a tuple of 1. So what would happen if I said my tuple 99, right? We're going to be good to go, or are we going to get an error here?
Error.
Yeah, we're going to get an error, and it says object not callable. Because when it looks at that syntax, and if you think about this, this makes a lot of sense, especially since we just talked about functions and how you invoke or call a function in a program. Because that right there that's highlighted, that's exactly how we call functions. And I could put that, put a value in there, 99, ABC, whatever, right? So with tuples, if it's a single value tuple, it's going to have to end with a comma. And
Object is not.
Hold on one second. That is correct. Oh, no, that is correct. That is correct. Why is that kicking that back? Or am I missing something? Here, hold on. Let me change it to new tuple. There we go. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
do you see why I was getting the error?
Yes.
Why was I getting the error?
Because you didn't have the equal. Now, because I was going to ask you.
Yeah, because I was running it like it was a function, and I forgot to put the assignment operator in there.
Yeah, because I was going to. Well, so so you can't do my new tuple equal 99, comma, will that do it without the parentheses? Because you said
no. Yeah, that was what I was leading up to. So yeah, so you can do it just like I can use the parentheses, I can not use the parentheses.
okay.
And so now I just have a new tuple that has 99. And you see that it puts the comma in there. But this is one of the things that I find interesting, right? So it puts the comma in there as if to say, oh yeah, if you add stuff after this, the comma's already there. But the problem is I can't add anything to a tuple. So this is one, again, it's very, like, I guess on its face, it's a simple data structure because there's only two methods. And again, the methods were, if I say new tuple, the methods were count. So I could say count. How many times is 99 in there? It's in there one time, right? Or I can say new tuple dot, index, and say what index position is 99. And it's position 0 because it's the first and only thing in there. But again,
can you overwrite it? Like if you could you change since you have new tuple equal 99, comma, can you get away with new tuple equal 99, comma 100, comma?
So you're saying 99, comma 100, comma?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that absolutely. But the new tuple, so again, we're not changing that.
Oh, okay, right.
We're creating the new one. So that, yeah, that works. And so again, you can use the parentheses, but they're optional. You don't have to use the parentheses. But again, I like the parentheses because for me, it gives like that structure that you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that's a tuple. Whereas when there's no parentheses, you kind of look at it and you're like, what is that? You know, why is there nothing around that? Is it like some different way of a list? Because when the parentheses are around it, there's no question that is a tuple, right? That is a tuple. So let me clear my screen here. All right. So what I want you to do now is I want you to go ahead and create a tuple and put 10 values in there. Put some floats, some ints, some strings, put a list, and put a tuple in your tuple. So go ahead and let's create a new tuple that has those values. So you guys go ahead and create that as well. So we're going to say 99, comma 3. Whoops. I didn't put 10 things in there. Let me put some more stuff in here.
All right, so you want us to create that, Travis?
You don't have to create what I put in there, but yeah, create your own tuple and then just put 10 things in there and let's mix it up. Let's make sure that we put an integer, a float, a string, a list, and a tuple inside of our tuple. So we're going to go ahead and put a whole bunch of different things in that tuple.
Okay.
And just give me a kind of a heads up when you've got your tuple set up there. All right, everybody ready?
Yes.
Almost.
All right. Give you a couple more seconds. Yeah, so remember, tuples are unchangeable. You cannot change a tuple. All right, so I've got this list. I've got my tuples here. So Marilyn, I'm going to kick this off to you. And because I know that you have the answer to this. How can I see, or what would be a way, and there's multiple ways to do this, to check to see how many elements are in my tuple?
DIR. I don't know. Wait. DIR, open paren, new tuple.
DIR, open paren, new tuple. Let's see what we got here. No. So, but it's, so Marilyn, you know what? You just earned yourself a BGE sticker. So, because you just gave me the wrong answer, that's gonna lead to another great discussion. So remember, right, that the dir shows you what's in the namespace. And so here, like, so if you look at the first thing here, you can see that new tuple is right here, right? Because again, dir with no arguments shows me what's in my current namespace. So if I want to go a little deeper and I want to see what are the attributes of new tuple, which is in my namespace, I say dir new tuple. And this is interesting, right? You see all these, and I won't give you the name. What are these called?
Dunders.
Dunders, right? Dunder Mifflin, double underscore. So, but take a look down here at the very end. So dir shows me the attributes associated with this data type, a tuple. And what do we see down here? The last two attributes are the methods.
Oh, TOWSON index, yeah.
Yeah, the two methods, right? So that's an easy way to see, because I think if I were to say dir and let me look up at the top here, A. And I think A is a string. So watch this. This is probably going to wipe the screen out, like with all kinds of stuff. Okay, it wasn't that bad. So do you see here? I mean, take a look. So look at the end, when you look at the variable name that represents the data type, after all of the, excuse me, reserved attributes with the dunders, you get to see all of the, starting here from capitalize all the way down. You see all of the methods that are associated like with that data type, which is a string. So, okay, so wrong answer though. A good answer, but a wrong answer. All right, so how would I see, let me get my, there we go. So what would be a way to check to see how many elements are in this tuple?
Using index.
So can we use index, or is index just going to tell me, so how, what are you thinking there? You're thinking new tuple?
No, that won't. Oh, count.
Count. All right, so count like that. So you would think that that would do what we want it to do, but we should get an error here, and the error should say no argument provided, or an argument is necessary. Yeah, so it takes exactly one argument, none given. And so remember, these methods are kind of interesting because it's only going to count for me the number of occurrences of whatever I'm looking for here, like X, right? So I'm going to say I'm looking for 22, right? So it's going to tell me how many times 22 is in this tuple. So when I hit enter, we see 1. It would be the same thing for 99. Whoops, in the parentheses. It would be the same thing for 3, right? So that just tells you how many times some value occurs. So what else? There's a function that we could use here that you guys are aware of.
Len?
Yes, very good.
Ah,
So I could say len new tuple, right? And I get 10. Let's check it out. 1, 2, 3. My list is 4. My tuple is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? So you could use len, excuse me, and that would give you the number of elements in your tuple. Now, there's another way that you could see this. And again, this is a more complicated way. So let me ask you, how would I print out, how could I loop through and print each element out of the tuple? Like if I said to you, hey, I just want you to print out each element of the tuple. So we'd have to loop through. It wouldn't be a while loop.
for loop?
For loop, excellent, right? So I could say for elements in new tuple, whoops, new tuple, print elements. Just like that, right? And there we go. And so that it prints them out. So, and again, this is obviously a more advanced, the len is the super easy way to get it. But if I'm looping through each element, how could I have a counter that prints out the element, like you're now printing element number blah, blah, blah? How can I enhance that for loop? So the first line is going to be the same. And actually, it's in the interactive interpreter, we'd have to do something. Let me say counter equals 0. All right. So that line is going to be the same, right? So 4 elements in new tuple. What do I want to do? And remember, we have a counter that we're going to be incrementing along the way here. Excuse me.
So you indent. You have to indent.
Yep, yep.
New tuple. open paren, counter?
No.
No.
So
Oh, you
I'm
want to
saying,
print, right?
yeah, right. So
Well,
I could say print,
print.
oops, print elements. And after I print, right, that first element there, because that's going to print the first element, what would I want to do to counter?
Increment counter.
And how would I do that?
Counter plus equal 1.
There we go. And then I could throw in my print statement that says, you just printed out the, or printed out element number, trying to make it easy here. And so what would I put there as my,
Oh, that's what you want. You were asking for. What are you saying? What
oh,
what
so,
you want?
so I want to print out, each time it prints out an element, I want it to print out, you just printed out element number, and it would start with 1, and then each time it increments. So what would be the variable I would want to put there that represents the count that we're keeping track of?
Well, you could use counter, but you have to put that statement above the increment.
Well, we're going to count from 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
yeah, because remember, we're trying to count not the index position, but like how
Oh,
many
the number.
elements are in there.
Okay.
So again, so that's
All right.
one way to loop through. And then ultimately here, we see that we've printed out 10. So the for loop is a great way, and let me print new list out. I should have probably just typed out new tuple. What am I doing here? So the for loop is a great way to loop through. And again, remember, I can put anything here. I can say for x in new tuple. I could say for y in new tuple. Just remember that whatever that first variable, that first placeholder is, that you use that same placeholder there. Because if you don't, and I do something like, even if, keep it lowercase, if I do something like that, it's going to come back and it should kick out an error because, I mean, who knows what Z is, right? Name error, Z's not defined. So we're going to see an error when we go to print out Z like that. So does that make sense? And again, the for loop starts to become really important to be able to loop through, like, and same thing with lists, right? So we have, I think, what is it? My list is still out there? No, it's empty. So if we had elements in the list, I would say, you know, for elements in my list, print the elements. And it's an easy way, and it doesn't print anything. There's no elements in there. But it's an easy way to sort of loop through these sequence data types that we can then just churn through and kick out the elements that are in there. And so that's an easy way to do the for loop, to cycle through. All right. So let me take a look at my notes here real quick, make sure I got everything. And I talked about I talked about the accessing individual elements, right? You would just simply say, whoops, you would say new tuple 3, right?
Oh.
And that gives me the list. So remember, it's just like a list in terms of indexing into it. If I say new tuple 4, we're going to get, which element is that going to print up out of the tuple?
Seven. Or, so does that index start at 0?
Yeah, because Python is a zero-based counting language, yes. So what do you guys think this will print?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at it'll print the list.
0, 1, 2.
Oh, the tuple.
XYZ.
It's going to print the tuple. And so this brings up a good point. So remember, Darielle, I heard you say XYZ. Remember,
That was me.
oh, I'm sorry. Was that Ozzy said that?
Yeah, it was me.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
So yeah, remember that it would be easy to say, oh, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's why you said XYZ, right? Remember, the list is one element.
So it's 0, 1, 2.
Because it's a list.
Right.
Because it's
Okay.
a list. So let me ask you this, though, Ozzy. How could I print XYZ? Let me rephrase that.
Okay.
If I was to tell you, Ozzy, I want you to print the last element in the list that's in this tuple. And
Oh,
you don't know how many elements are in that list
Oh.
that's in the tuple. So what's the
The
command?
last element is, that's len with, yeah, don't you do len with, yeah. I'm just trying to think what,
That's only if you want to be unpythonic.
oh.
That's a new word I just created.
Because I know you said when we were doing lists, if you do len and the list name in parentheses, then that shows you the last element, but you're saying that's not.
You could, and Marilyn actually walked us through something like that last night. So maybe Marilyn can help you out here.
Do you do like minus? No, but you said you don't know how many are in there.
You have no clue how many items are in that list
Well,
that's in this tuple.
Don't you do -1 then?
You do. So what do I do?
I don't know.
Then
New tuple -1?
tuple.
All right, let's do new tuple -1.
I mean, yeah.
Like that?
Uh,
Yeah.
yes.
Why did it print out 33?
Because it was the last element
In the tuple.
in the
I
tuple.
want the last element of the list.
Oh,
Yeah.
then put it in,
You got to say, oh, wow.
Oh.
And remember, I'm telling you, we don't know how many elements are in this list. We're going to pretend we don't know. I'm just telling you, give me the last element in the list that is in new tuple.
can you use parentheses?
So do
what
you
would I
know
do?
the index of the
Next up, the 0, 1, 2.
-1.
The list is 0, 1, 2.
No, that doesn't work.
4. The list is 0, 1, 2. It's 3.
So Darielle says 3.
Colon something? No.
Colon something?
right?
How do we print the second item in the list? That's the question.
Oh, colon. 1? No, colon 3?
Like that?
No. Like in the brackets. No.
Here.
Yeah. Okay, now what the heck did that do? That printed, oh, it counted by 3s. Okay. I
Right.
see. Okay.
So you're really close right here. You're almost done right there.
And -1 and then another
Inside 0
inside the square bracket.
bracket.
There we have it.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Do you see that?
Oh.
So you pick the element out of the tuple that you want. And again, since it's the list, then you can just simply trim it down even further. So let me ask you this. How would I print up only the number, or we'll do the same thing. How would I print up the last element, and pay attention here because this might be a little confusing. I want the last element inside that tuple that I just highlighted that is in new tuple. What would I type? So I want the last element of the highlighted tuple that is it is itself an element of this bigger tuple called new tuple.
Well, that's 4.
Okay.
That's 4. And you want the last element within?
and I want the last element in that tuple that's inside new tuple.
Do we
So
still
what do I
use we use brackets
I say 4 minus 1.
So 4
Just
minus
like you
1.
did. No. Sorry. 4 and bracket minus 1.
Very good. Do you see that? So what would I type to get the number 1 out of that tuple right here?
1 minus 2 minus
Just 1.
5.
0.
4 minus 5. 4 bracket
one.
minus 5. I don't know.
Like that?
Yeah.
What's another way for me to get it out of there using positive numbers?
0.
0 or 1. How's it counted?
New tuple.
You got it.
Oh, okay.
You see that?
Yeah.
So you could use the negative numbers now. So you see how, like, it's kind of like it's funneling, wrong way. It's funneling what you're working with, and then you just keep manipulating it and manipulating it until you can get what it is you're looking for out of that value. So does that make sense?
Yeah, but it's like Inception again.
Kind of.
It is.
All right.
Wait, you don't, oh, you cleared it?
No, we got it.
Wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
And we're still recording, believe it or not. I know, this is like a miracle
True.
tonight.
Let's see. Go ahead. I'll go back to the recording.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about dictionaries. So dictionaries are mutable, which means they can be changed. And let me make sure I took some notes. I was doing reading earlier today as well. Wanted to talk about a few things. So remember, a dictionary is referred to as an associative container, which means it stores data in the dictionary by association. And the association is the key value pair. And I'm going to give you some really concrete examples of where you could use dictionaries. And the first example is a phone book, right? You have a person's name, and then they have a phone number. And so you could put the person's name, give me 1 second here. You could put the person's name and then their phone number. So let's do that. Let's create a dictionary. Now, remember, just like the list, the dictionary is mutable, which means I can change it, I can add stuff, I can delete stuff, I can do all kinds of stuff with the dictionary. So how would I create an empty dictionary? Well, in order to create the empty dictionary, I just simply say, I'll call this phone book, right? That's it right there. That is an empty dictionary. And again, just like the list, this is a good best practice, in your program. So I say phone book equal open brace, close brace. If I say type on phone book, class is dictionary, right? If I say ID on phone book, and let's get this out right away because it's empty, that is not going to change. Because again, it's a mutable data type. Just like a list, I can change it in place. So I've got this list phone book. And so what I'd like to do is add some values to phone book. So in fact, here, I'll just sort of maybe recreate it. So we'll say Travis, Travis. And here's how you put your values in. And again, the values I'm putting in are strings, and so I've got them enclosed as strings. Now, could I put a list in here? Absolutely. Could I reference another dictionary as a value? Absolutely. I'm going to talk about the keys in a second because the keys are tricky. So this is the key, right? So when I go to reference the key, because I want the value for the key, so I want Travis's phone number, I type Travis's name in, or I use the name Travis, and it's going to give me back the value I'm looking for. So I'll say 546.5483. This is my childhood phone number in Santa Rosa, California. And then a comma separates multiple values. So then I could put down Adam, whoops, my brother. And his phone number, 707.512.839, right? So now I've got this other key value pair. And I can put my sister in here, Amy. And we'll say 707.543.2315, right? And that is my dictionary. There we go. Now, let's take a sneak peek here. Whoops. At the methods. Because you'll notice we've got some different methods, right? We've got a clear, a copy, from keys, get, items, keys. So we're going to talk about items. We're going to talk about values. Because when you use these methods, it's going to print out a bunch of stuff from the dictionary. So again, at its most basic level, it is a key value combination. That's it. Now, we have some restrictions with the keys. The keys have to be an immutable data type, like an integer. And if you think about it, it makes sense, right? You don't want the key to be changed. The value, you could change your value, but the key has to be immutable. Has to be, right? So the first value I have here on the left side of the colon is going to be an immutable data type. So what I want you to do right now is you create your own little phone book and put 2 or 3 people and phone numbers in there, and that's it. It doesn't have to be anything fancy schmancy. Excuse me. And dictionaries are definitely one of those data types that are kind of confusing because you can have like so many levels inside of the dictionary. Yeah, so the keys have to be immutable. Now, remember, I said that this, while you guys are typing that up, I said that this is an associative container. And what that means is it is not a sequence data type. So the things I'm putting into my dictionary are not going to be stored in the order you see them being put in. Because behind the scenes, right, the guy behind the curtain, Wizard of Oz, the guy or gal behind the curtain is doing some high-speed indexing function behind the scenes that we don't see that makes the accessing of dictionary elements super fast. And so again, sorry. Yeah, so again, we'll put these elements in, but this is how it's different than a list. It's different than a tuple, is that the key value pairs that you put into the dictionary are not stored in any kind of a sequenced order, right? And so if I was to say phone, let me actually, just a quick check. Everybody have their dictionary created?
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead and type in the name of your dictionary at the interactive interpreter and hit enter. And in this case, you can see that, yes, what I have in there is in order. But at some point, what I have entered in is not going to be in order. It's going to get mixed up. And that is okay. And that's something typically that learners will jump on right away. And they'll say, no, something's wrong with my dictionary because the key value pairs aren't in the order I entered them in. That is okay, right? That is okay. It's similar in a Cisco sense. It's very similar to the standard ACLs, where the standard ACLs, sometimes when you print it out, show IP ACL, access list, it doesn't print the entries in order because behind the scenes it's doing some high-speed math that optimizes how the ACL gets processed. And the same is true of the dictionary. Okay, so all you have to say is, in the interactive interpreter, I type in the name of my dictionary, phone book, and that's what we get. So what if I wanted to access just one thing, right? What if I wanted to see Adam's phone number? Well, what if I say phone book? And again, this should look very, you guys should be really comfortable with this, right? You notice a pattern here as to how we access the different elements inside of the list and the tuple, right? We use those, the brackets, right? Open bracket, and then with list and tuple though, how do we reference what we want out of the list and the tuple? How do we reference it? The elements. Like if I wanted to see the fifth element, right? Or the third element.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Yeah, don't you just put, you just count, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because with a list and with a tuple, everything is in a sequence, right?
Yeah.
Everything's in order. So when we look at the list and when we look at the tuple, all you have to do is say, okay, the first element is 0, the second element is 1, the third element is 2, the fourth element, right? And that is how you reference those data types, because those are sequence data types. Remember, the dictionary is not a sequence data type, because if I were to say phone book 0 and hit enter, how do I have to access the elements in the dictionary? What do I have to give it to see the value?
Like the actual value name, like Travis or
key. And that's what we call the key. Remember, it's a key value pair, right? So let me clear the screen here. Let me do this real quick. And I'll put it at the very top here. So if I do question mark. There we go, right? So if I say phone book. So remember, the dictionary is based on key value pairs. So since it's not a sequence, and because remember, I just told you, the dictionary is not going to store any of these things in order. Again, what you see on my screen just happens to be in order, but that's not going to be the case. That's not the case as you start to add more things to your dictionary. So therefore, the dictionary can't guarantee that, oh, this is going to be element 0, that's going to be element 1, and that's going to be element 2, because this is going to change. As I start to add in more and more key value pairs, there is no sequence. Everything's going to be out of order. And so the only way to guarantee that I can access these things is the key, right? Think of it like the magic, like, what do they go? The secret, I found the golden ticket, right? Like Willy Wonka and the chocolate. I've got the golden ticket, right? So the golden ticket for the dictionary is the key. So if I say Adam, there's Adam's phone number. If I say Travis, there's Travis's phone number. If I say Amy, there's Amy's phone number. And so it's that easy. And again, the syntax is the same as the list and the tuple. It's just that instead of putting an indice number in here, an index number in here, we put the key and then we get the value. And so do you see how much more powerful this is than a list? Because in the list, I have to know where in the list something occurs. Here, I just need to know the key. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
they all have to be unique. You can never have a duplicate key.
correct, correct. Because then it wouldn't know, well, which one do you want?
Right.
And you should get an error. And I'll try to I'll jam something in here. So another way to do this, and let me see, I'm taking a look at my notes here, I'll make sure I'm staying on track. Yeah, so actually, let me cover the for loop first. So we just saw the for loop and how we could loop through and see things. We can do the same thing with the dictionary. So I could say for X, or I could even say, you know, for stuff in, what do I call it, phone book, colon, print stuff. And what does that print for me?
All the keys.
Yeah, it printed all of the keys, right? So when I loop through a dictionary with a for loop, it's going to give me all the keys. But I've also got some additional things I want to show you here. So let me do this. So remember we talked about the Booleans. And remember you could say, you know, 99 in list. And if it's true, if 99, let's say the integer 99 is in the list, and so let me do this real quick here. So rather than talk about it, I'll show you. So I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 99, 100, blah, blah, blah. There we go. Okay. So I've got this list, right? So remember how I could say 99 in my list. And it says true because 99's in there. If I was to say that number in my list, it's false because that number is not on my list. And the same thing is true here, but it's based on the key. So if I say Travis in phone book, yeah, Travis is in the phone book. If I say this guy in phone book, no. So that's a quick way to check to see, hey, is that person in my phone book? Or is that router in my inventory? Or is that switch in my inventory? And so it's an easy way to check with a Boolean. Another way that you can do this is you can see there's methods. So let's talk about the methods. Let me clear the screen here. Let me put phone book back up on the screen. So there's the phone book. So if I say phone book, there's a bunch of different methods. One that we want to look at is this keys. So if I say phone book keys and I hit enter, what did that return to me? And look closely.
Only the
Only the
strings.
keys. Only the keys.
So it only returned the keys, but how did it return the keys to me?
In a list.
In a list. Okay, in order.
Is it a list?
A list inside a tuple?
Yeah, there you go. So it's a list inside of a tuple. And let's confirm that that's the case. How could I confirm that that's the case? That what we just got back right there.
To type?
No.
No.
I could do type, but what do I have to do? I'm sorry. Yeah, I could do type, but what do I have to do before I do type?
Yeah. No.
Because what do we do type on typically?
To get the data type. Yeah.
Yeah, to get the data type. So if I said type phone book,
You know that it's a.
dictionary, right.
Yeah, okay.
So how would I capture the output of phonebook.keys?
I'll assign it.
Yeah, good, good. So
Okay.
I'll just put my keys. And then we say phonebook.keys. So now if I say my keys, you can see it points out, it prints out dictionary keys. So what if I were to say type? Now, it's going to come back and say it's dictionary keys because it's part of the class and not a tuple. It looks like a tuple, but it's not. It's this data type that's in the class dictionary keys, right? So I even looked at it and thought that it was a tuple. But when it kicked this back here, it's part of this class dictionary keys. So the question becomes, whoops, the question becomes, all right, well then, how would I access these individual values that are in my keys? And all you can do, there's one method that exists, and that is it. So the easier way to get those values, to get the keys, would be to actually loop through like we did before right here, is to do a for loop, and then that would print out each of the keys for me. Because what this does is it gives you this list, but it's inside of this dictionary keys. So even if I was to say, and let's see if I say M keys, my keys, and I do a 0, would this give us the value? No, and it doesn't support indexing. So this dictionary keys object type doesn't support indexing. However, we're going to see another way to tweak the keys with a method that'll give us another opportunity to get those values. So again, the for loop. So for stuff in phone book, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just print stuff, right? So that'll give me the keys. If I run keys by itself, if I do the method keys, if I say phonebook.keys, this is just simply going to print out that. Now, when we get into more advanced stuff, you'll be able to trim things down where you can pull out certain characters based off of the structure here. But that's like a regular expression type thing. So let's take a look at this values. So that shows me just the keys. What if I say phone book values, right? That just shows me the values. So I can quickly see what the keys are, and I can quickly see what the values are. Now, here's another one, and this is going to show us, it gives us this tuple with the list that has tuples inside of it. And you can see that we get the tuples inside here, right? Even though it's coming back as this object type from dictionary items, it's giving you tuples of the key and then the value, right? So that items, it'll show me every key value pair in my dictionary. Let's take a look at, oh yeah, so how to delete a specified item. So just like when we reference, when I say phone book and Travis, and I hit enter. So just as I use the key to access, to get the value out, right? And the value comes out, we put it in as a string, we get it out as a string. Let's say I want to delete Adam. And so there's a couple ways to do this. One, which would be the way Marilyn would choose, is to use delete, and then I simply say phone book dot, and you can see here where I can pick these different methods to get rid of something. So keys is a great way to do it, or I could do this if I wanted to get rid of Adam. And so now when I say phone book, Adam is gone, right? So I can just say delete phone book Adam, and that's it. Now, what if I wanted to add an item to the dictionary? Let me do Control L. So here's our phone book as it stands right now, right? So what if I want to add something to the dictionary? Well, it's as simple as saying phone book, and then I put in whatever the key is going to be. So let's do this, Iris. I'm going to say the key is Amy.
Okay.
So what do we think is going to happen here? Now, I'm going to put in a different value. But the key already exists. So what do you think it's going to tell us?
That is it going to change the value?
So we don't get an error, do we? Absolutely, it changed the value, right?
Right.
So even though we use the same key, we had a different value. So what happens if we do this? Right? You'll notice that it doesn't matter. So I thought that when we put that key in there and we match that key up, that it would come back and say that key already exists. But it doesn't. It simply overwrites whatever's in there with that exact same key. So whatever that value is, it gets overwritten.
Right, because that's just the reference to the
Like
key.
Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
Say again?
Is it like Wikipedia?
Wikipedia, yeah. So I can put in, so let's add somebody new in. We'll say Bob, and we'll leave the same phone number here. And they're all living together. Beth, right? So this is all I need to do to add entries, right? Key value pairs into the dictionary. So let's talk about removing items. We looked at delete. Now, if we wanted to use a method, the way that we could use the method would be to use pop. So pop is one way to get things. Oh, tell me it just froze up. Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
You've got to be kidding me. It
Yeah,
literally
you're frozen.
just locked up. That is unbelievable. I made it to 8:37 and then it locked up. Terrible. Okay. And it looks like the recording may have stopped. Okay, so if I was going to, and here, let me do this. Now it's going to take 10 minutes for me to turn this thing off and then have it come back on. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I cannot believe this thing, and it's funny how the audio continues to function. All right, so I'm totally locked up. You guys can't see me at all, or you see me, but it's like
I see you, but
The
you're frozen.
picture is frozen
I'm
too.
frozen. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so what I want you guys to do with your dictionaries is to go ahead and type the name of your dictionary, and then a period, or I'm sorry, so just back up. So type the name of your dictionary, hit enter, and see what you've got in there.
I started mine in the idle, and when I hit enter, I don't get. How do I get it to display in idle? I did mine in idle.
Are you in
Run
the
it.
interactive interpreter or like a new file?
I'm in a new file.
Run it.
So
and
you have to
it'll-
run it, yeah.
Yeah, it'll show up.
Okay.
'Cause I did
And
the same
remember,
thing.
in your file, you're going to have to use prints.
I did that. Okay.
Okay, good, good.
I don't want my dictionary.
We're going to power through here. We're going to power through with no video.
Are
So
you
you-
still there,
I'm
Travis?
still here. Can you guys hear me?
Oh,
Yeah. You want us to add to the phone book?
Sure. Go ahead, add some values in. Yeah, add some values because we're going to delete some values.
Okay.
Man, this is such a bummer. It was working great too. Yeah, it's got to be. Well, actually, it's locked up when I wasn't using Zoom, so makes me wonder what it is that's making it lock up like this. Because prior, like I said, prior to that Zoom update, this thing had been on for like months and had never had an issue. And it's got me worried because in the fall when I teach, I do Zoom sessions nonstop
uh-oh.
for my learners in my courses each week. And so this has got me really worried now that something bigger is wrong with the computer. All right, so everybody have a few entries in their dictionary?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so now you're going to type the name of your dictionary by itself and hit enter so that you can see all of the entries. So what method would you use to print out all of the keys?
Jeez.
Do phonebook.keys.
Yep, so go ahead and run that.
With the ending, starting and ending parentheses.
You got it. Yep. And then go ahead and how would you print out all of the values?
You do phonebook.values.
There you go.
Missed the first instruction. What did you say? Phone book dot.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so the first one is going to be phone book dot keys.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then the second one is going to be phone book dot values.
Okay.
And then open parents, close parents at the end there. So phonebook.keys, open parent, close parent. That shows you all your keys. And then phonebook.values, open parent, close parent, is going to show you the values that you have. And then if you do phonebook.items, open parent, close parents, that's going to show you all of your key value pairs. And now what we're going to do is we're going to remove items from the list. And so whereas you could use delete, the better way to do it, I shouldn't say the better way, but the Pythonic way to do it would be to leverage the method pop. And so if you were to say phonebook.pop and then open parens and inside the parentheses, because with pop, you have to give it an argument and only, well, at least one argument. And what do you think that argument is? What do you think you tell pop so that pop knows which entry in your dictionary to get rid of? How do we reference the items in our dictionary?
By the sequence, yeah.
By the key.
By the key, not the sequence.
Oh.
Yeah, remember, it's by the key. The key is like again, think of it like this. The key opens the lock to give you the value that the key represents. So the key opens up that lock. So you would put the key in there. So you could say phonebook.pop, open parent, and then you put your key, which would be a name, right? Like if you're using names. And tell me what pop does when you hit enter.
Is that name in parentheses? Yes. It prints out the value.
Yes. So pop is not only going to remove, so go ahead and type phone book or whatever you named your dictionary and hit enter. So not only is pop going to remove the key value pair that you indicated by giving it the key name, it's going to remove it. It's going to tell you the value that was removed along with that key that you provided it. Does that make sense?
So
Yeah.
you do phonebook.pop, then you do, after that dot, you do the value you want to remove?
Inside parentheses, yes.
Okay.
Key, not the value.
I'm sorry, yeah, the key. I'm sorry, the key.
Key of the
Inside
value,
parentheses.
yeah.
So if I want to remove, 5551212, I do phonebook.pop.555.1212.
No, because that's the value.
Oh, okay. So I do the key,
You give
right?
it the name of the person that owns that phone number.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Assuming that, you put in like Steve is 5551212.
Okay.
You would reference Steve, and remember, Steve is a string, or that whatever, if you're using a name, it's a string.
Oh, that worked. Okay.
And then just type out the name of your dictionary again, and you should see that that is gone.
Mhm.
Now, this is going to be interesting here, because this actually just changed in version 3.7. And it's a method called pop item, right? Which is different than pop. When we do pop, right? Remember, there's no deep, like if I said phonebook.pop, open parent, close parent, and hit enter, we get the error message. And Python says, no, 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 no. You've got to give pop at least one argument, right? So it doesn't just pop off something randomly. Now, pop item, you can say phone book dot pop item, and you can run that, and you can put open parent, close parent, and you don't have to put anything in there. And it should, and so here's the way it works. The method should remove the last inserted item. Now, that's in versions 3.7 and beyond. Before 3.7, it would just randomly pick a key value pair and remove it at random. So do this. Type in phonebook.popitem, open parent, close parent, and hit enter and see, does it remove the last thing you added to your phone book, or does it remove something at random?
It did. It did.
I removed the last item.
Last item. Mhm.
Okay. And so chances are you guys are running 3.7.
Yes.
Python 3.7. Okay. All right. Good deal. So the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about how we would make a copy. Well, actually, there's two things we're going to talk about. So we're going to make a copy of the dictionary, and then we're going to clear it, or basically wipe it out. So there's a copy method. So if your dictionary is named phone book right now, what I want you to do is I want you to type in a new dictionary name. And it could be new dictionary, it could be new phone book, but type in a new name and then put the assignment operator equal, and then put in the name of your existing dictionary, right? Like phone book.
Does it have to be in parentheses? No.
No.
Okay.
And then type in dot copy, open parent, close parent.
Is it like when we did lists, when we renamed?
You got it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's very similar to that. Hold on 1 second here. I'm trying to get in on my laptop. There we go. And let me join in here. And it's funny, my laptop doesn't freeze up.
So you wanted us to do a new phone book name and then equals the phone book, and then what, Travis?
And then what's going to happen is you're going to say, so new phone book equals old phone book dot copy, open parent, close parent.
Oh, dot copy, okay.
Yeah.